Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought we would have a look at the Alpha Jet A today. This is the German Alpha Jet. I just finished spading it during the F14 event, and I thought I'd kind of give my thoughts on it. Decided to play it in a realistic. This vehicle is in different BR, in ground realistic, and the fact that you don't get really any stock weapons apart from some pretty weak 500-pound bombs didn't really make me want to spade it in ground. So, took it out in air, and to be honest, it was a lot better than I thought it would be. I've spaded a lot of these strike aircraft from around about 8.0 to 10.0, and usually they're either too slow or they have decent weapon systems, but they can't really do too much apart from those weapon systems. The Alpha Jet is the first one in a while that I've actually felt very confident dogfighting in. The only ones which are similar to this in its kind of skill with dogfighting is actually the Jaguar, funnily enough. But this vehicle, compared to a lot of the other strike aircraft, is very good at dogfighting, and that means that you have a different lease of life instead of just being kind of a bomber. And I would actually say, especially in aerialistic, you should not use this as a bomber. Do not bomb bases with it. Do not play the kind of cast role. Instead, just play the dogfighting role, and you'll have a fantastic time. Because what you'll find is it's the best fighter out of all of the strike aircraft at this BR. So any strike aircraft you come across, stuff like the F-84F, the good old A4, you'll just be able to annihilate it, and it's fantastic. Also, this thing is really maneuverable. So that means when you face a lot of those 9.3s, F-104s for example, MiG-19s, F-100s, it can be kind of annoying to fight them, but you will always have the ability to turn away from the guns, reset, wait for them to make a mistake, and hit them hard. It works fantastically well. And missiles, the Alpha Jet A has countermeasures, so you don't even have to worry about the missiles. You don't really get enough really good missiles at this BR to worry about, them dodging the countermeasures. And also the heat signature from the turbo mecha engines is really small. So you can just fire one countermeasure and you are good to go. So I feel like with this vehicle, the way to actually play it is to spade it in air and then go play it in ground, since of course it's supposed to do that cast roll. It does have a bunch of cool things on it. It has CCIP for its rockets, its bombs, its cannons. That's why it's high VR in ground. But in air, you just need to use it as a fighter. Now understand it's still a strike aircraft. It sucks that it doesn't get an air spawn, and when you face a lot of fighters, you'll be able to outturn them, but they will eventually do you in because they'll have more energy than you. But against stuff like the Saab 105, the F-84F, the A4, all of these vehicles, you'll just be able to take them apart, and it's really, really enjoyable to do so. So what I did is I just focused on the flight performance. Once I got the engine, the wings repaired, the new boosters, I was able to just float it around the place. I was really worried about the vehicle actually because its maximum overload gets up to like 12 Gs or something like that, and usually when you get new boosters with a vehicle like that, it means that it falls apart. This vehicle didn't. Instead, it actually felt really nice to kind of throw it around the place. So I would generally say it was just really nice to use from a turning point of view. I was also really worried about the speed of the vehicle, because usually with these strike aircraft, even though it says that they have quite a high max speed, it takes quite a long time to get there. The Alpha Jet, it wasn't really that bad. Its acceleration is very good with its two engines, and it means that you can sit around 800 to 1000 without really having to worry about too much. So against stuff like even Sabres and MiG-15s, which are vehicles which usually hover around that speed as well, you can control the fight. As long as there is, people around you, you are able to feed off them and do really well. And that's basically what I ended up doing a lot of the time. There were certain situations that, of course, we weren't able to do much against stuff like F-104s, for example. Things like MiG-19s, but basically the way that you have to play against those things is the same that you do in most subsonic aircraft. You defensively fly, wait for them to go somewhere else, and then you actually do the thing you're supposed to do, and then they come back again. You just do the same thing over and over again like that. It's basically how you do it in the G91. And after 21 battles of playing the Alpha Jet, I ended up going 52 air kills and 5 deaths with a 70% win rate, just kind of using that general method of flying, and it just worked fantastically well. The only major issues I have with this thing is, first of all, the engine power when stock, but that's more of an issue with all of these vehicles around here. The fact that it gives you the external fuel tanks as a standard loadout, and by the way, when you start this vehicle, it will give you a default loadout of the gun and the drop tanks. What you need to do is you need to create a secondary weapon setup where it is just the gun. So don't bring anything else along. You don't need bombs, you don't need rockets, you do not need the external fuel tanks. Get rid of all of that. So make it as light as possible, and then just have the Mauser 27mm. Also, just run about 20 minutes of fuel, you'll be fine. That's plenty. If anything, you could probably take a little bit less if you wanted to once again lighten the load. Now, the thing I found with the Mauser, which, you know, stock wasn't exactly great, but even with the weapon upgrades on the Mauser, it has a very high muzzle velocity, which is really nice. It means that you can hit the target pretty easily. It has really low ammo, and that's the biggest problem with the Alpha Jet A, and also makes it different from the E, where the E gets gun pods, the A doesn't. So you're stuck with just this 27mm Mauser, and that basically means that you are going to have real bad problems with fire control. The rate of fire on this gun is very high. The muzzle velocity is also very high. So you are going to have to get used to bursting with the gun and being able to hit targets, critting them, you know, or severely damaging them, and basically just leaving them for the next person, because you do not have enough ammo to be able to, you know, carry games getting 4 or 5 kills. A lot of the time for me, I was ending up with like 2 or 3 kills, and that was good enough to be able to sway the battle, and that worked very well. But the thing that annoys me about this gun is the fact that it has the same problem as a lot of British guns. In its default configuration, and even in its other configurations, it has practice shells. Every single damn ammo belt that this thing gets has at least one practice tracer shell in it. The only one where you don't have that is the stealth belt. Now, if you are confident enough to use the stealth belt, then fair enough. You know, you go for it, you go girl, you have a great time. I'm not, since I don't have too much experience with the Mauser, but maybe when playing the next vehicle with the Mauser, I might just take that stealth belt, because the amount of times I would hit the enemy, and what ends up happening is, guess what? Nothing. It gets hit by the PT shell, and it's a slight hit, doesn't do anything, and then you're in a negative position afterwards. It is one of the most annoying things possible. Then you have to defensively fly, which this thing is really good at, but it doesn't put you in the ascendancy, and that is the problem. Now let's actually talk about like its strike aircraft setup in Air Realistic. It's bad. Okay, it has a bunch of bombs. If you bring along the incendiary bombs, you can fell a base, which is kind of nice, I suppose, but they're really heavy. They're 300 kilos each. That means you're carrying 1,200 kilos worth of extra weight, and the engines just can't support that, which is why I'm telling you, just run the gun and nothing else, and just become kind of a dogfighter and do it like that. You'll have a much better time than if you go with the secondary armaments. By all means, use the secondary armaments in ground where you get an air spawn, and also at the same time you get the CCIP, and you get a ton of, you know, different bombs to use. You'll have a fantastic time, especially with the CCIP. In Air Realistic, don't. Just don't bother with it. Just be a frontline fighter and play it like that. You'll have a fantastic time as you go along. What surprised me, even though this thing's kind of a trainer and a strike aircraft, it doesn't have an RWR, it doesn't have a radar or anything like that, so it's all down to your instincts. So you have to hold that C button, you have to be able to watch around, especially with F-104s, but if you're able to do that, you'll be fine. This thing was really fun to play. I had a great time in it. Usually the kind of turn fighters at these BRs are really fun, and the Alpha Jet A was exactly that. If you haven't given it a go, I would highly recommend it, but as I said, play it as a superior strike aircraft. Don't play it as a ground pounder. As always, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.